feel like I'm a broken record here. I apologize for the delay with this reading for you guys. I've been sick the past few days, and my throat was just killing me, so I was not in the right frame of mind to do your readings. But I think there is a silver lining here for me, at least. I got a new deck of cards. This was gifted to me by a family member, and I started doing the readings for the other signs using a different deck. And for you guys, I tried to do the recording last night. For whatever reason, nothing came out. And so I figured I might as well have you guys try out this new deck and then see. And when I shuffled out the cards, there were a lot of messages that came through. So I hope this reading resonates with you. I hope it's providing you with pertinent information as we progress through the month of the cards. I see this man, okay? He looks like he's a day laborer, you know, like a blue-collar worker. And he's wearing like flannel shirt, a worn-out coat, and denim jeans, and you know, a pair of work boots. Okay, brown. He's wearing a lot of brown earth tones. And at the end of the day, it's like in the evening, he comes home and he opens the door to his home. He sits down, takes off his coat, and then takes off his work boots. And then, like off screen, there's a woman. She's like, dinner's ready. And so he goes in and, you know, goes through the motions of having dinner. And the shot remains on the frame that it remains on is the bench that he sat down on when he took off his boots. So I see the bench, I see the boots, and I see this little boy. He looks about like 4 or 5 years old, and you know, he's curious, so he sits down and he tries on his dad's work boots. It seems like his father, okay? Tries on his father's work boots, and he's obviously very small, and the boots are very big, and he's just kind of happily doing that. Okay, so immediately, what I got when I saw this image was there were a lot of messages that came out, by the way. But what I thought was really important, what I felt that I needed to convey to you guys was there is a sense of immense longing, missing a person, okay? A person that was like kind of like the rock and anchor in your family or in your life for whatever, in whatever capacity this person served their purpose in your life. I feel like for many of you, this might have been like a father figure, a male figure, somebody that is very masculine, that embodies, you know, the hard work, the it's like the person that labors away to make sure that the home is taken care of, the bills are paid, the children have you know, clothes for school, the wife has food to cook. You know, it's somebody who embodies that energy. I feel like for many of you, there is a nostalgia, a missing of this person in your life. And I feel like this person might have passed away when you were quite young, during your formative years, and you wish that they were around, or they might have passed away at a time when you were going through a lot of transitions in your own life, and longing for this person, wanting them to be there, wanting to show them that whatever it is that you have accomplished thus far in your life, you want this person to be proud. And so I feel like the message that needed to be conveyed for many of you is this person is definitely there. This person is looking down at you and, you know, really proud. They're beaming and they're proud of everything that you have accomplished, everything that you have achieved for yourself, all the things that you're willing to do to take care of yourself and your family members and the people that you love. So I feel like that this is a message of confirmation coming through from a paternal figure that has passed on. And if you are missing this person, you know, they are around, and they are wanting to make their presence known, that they're looking at you and helping you through some of the major changes that are coming through in your life, okay? So maybe that's might be consolation for many of you who might be missing, like a father figure that has passed away, a grandfather, or even someone who's very pivotal in your life, like a partner, a male partner, things like that, okay? And what I do feel with that imagery, in continuation of that, is I sense, Aries, there is a very strong anxiousness about you, like to get your life started, okay, to get your life started. So that's what I'm hearing. This boy wearing his dad's work boots, okay, he's like 4 or 5, he's very young, and he's eager to get out into the world, eager to see what life has to offer, eager to work. So for many of you, even, there might have been, you've had to work at a very young age to take care of yourself, to take care of the household. Even if, maybe because the father figure is absent, or even when the father figure is there, I feel like financial, footing has not been strong during your childhood, okay? It's like you were lacking in resources, and you were very anxious about getting out into the world, having to take care of yourself, having to, fend for yourself, having to make ends meet, having to, budget to really supplement income in the household with your own work or with your own jobs. And because of it, I do sense that, the way you look at money is, I feel like you have a great sense of respect for it. You don't spend lavishly or frivolously. You buy things that are essential, and then I also feel for you, it's kind of like a means to an end. It's an end in that you get to do whatever you want. You have the freedom that comes with, making a lot of money. And so with this spread coming through, the only thing that shows up here, money and finance, we have the Queen of, excuse me, I'm still recovering, so my voice might be a little bit scratchy. I apologize. So the Queen of Crystals, this is the Queen of Pentacles, okay? I know the wording is different, but this is the Queen of Pentacles. This is pretty much being very financially stable, being able to take care of yourself, making your own money, not needing another person to take care of you. And this is somebody that, enjoys entertaining guests at home, enjoy their space, enjoy drinking at a club or at a bar. This is somebody that is very quiet, demure, and they most likely will entertain guests at home, crack open a bottle, in their home front, and invite the people that they care about into their home. And so I feel like for many of you, for the month of January, you might have visitors, you might have people traveling to come towards you. We have the Chariot facing this Queen of Pentacles, meaning there might be people, especially family members, friends, friends from the past even. I do feel a geographical distance between you and a group of people who are making their way towards you. You are communicating heavily with them, and I do sense, you're in a position where you are entertaining a lot of people at home. There is along with this Queen of Pentacles imagery, it's a sense of like, having enough, feeling satiated, feeling satisfied with your financial footing, feeling like you have a very firm financial footing to be able to, buy presents, buy gifts, create as well a really comfortable home environment with good food, good wine, things like that. The things that make life pleasurable. I feel like, you have enough to care for, to give back, and to have around your surrounding, your home environment, a very comfortable lifestyle, okay? And all of this is coming through with sheer dedication, hard work, and overall your eagerness. And, having to work at a very young age, having to take care of yourself, having potentially to take care of parents, siblings, things like that. And as a result of it, I feel like you're in a really good space professionally, as well as materially. Okay, so it bodes well, and especially, so I'm really glad to see this for you. So we're shifting gears a little bit. There's another message that came through from that image that I want to convey, okay? For first of all, let's talk about that man, that laborer. I feel almost like, he's worn out from work, right? He's a little bit worn out. He's a little bit like tired. He's a little bit like, is there more to life? I don't feel like this is you. I feel like this is the energy of another person that you're dealing with. And I keep feeling maternal, paternal energy. I'm also feeling a love relationship partner, especially if this person is older than you. Okay, so you could be male or female. If you're dating somebody that's older, I feel like this person, this might represent that person, or it could be somebody that, it's a parental figure in your life. I feel like somebody is a little bit kind of run down. Somebody who's a little bit like their body hurts, their joints hurts. They're feeling like, the pangs of aging. Okay, they're feeling their mortality. They're feeling like they might be feeling under the weather. They might be sick. They might just be, just feeling under the weather. And what I'm feeling here is we have here the nine of feathers. This isn't the nine of swords. This deals with, sleepless nights, not being able to be comfortable in your own skin. Okay, so if you look at, it's almost like a hedgehog. Okay, with quills and things like that. And if you have like quills, sharp things poking out of your body, it's really hard for you to lie down, right? So what I'm getting here is it's somebody who's dealing with like physical ailments or physical symptoms, and it's disallowing them to get, restful sleep. They're not able to, they might be grouchy in the morning, they might be grouchy throughout the day, they might not be operating at their best. And what it's really saying here, you want to fix everything, Aries. If they're like in pain, you're like, okay, let's go get a massage. Let's go see a chiropractor. Let's go see a doctor. You want to take care of other people's problems, okay? You don't like it when people sit there and complain about the things that are going on wrong in their lives. You want to, be proactive. You want to be solution oriented, and you want to, offer a word of advice, or even resolve their issues. And this is something that's really difficult, I feel like, for me to understand growing up, because I'm an air sign and we're kind of clueless when it comes to someone who's dealing with a little bit of discomfort. And I feel like this message hopefully will also resonate with you, because a lot of the times when someone is sharing with us, oh, I have pains in my legs, or like my back is hurting, or like I have migraines. I feel like they're not sharing this information because they want you to solve their problems. They don't want you to get them an aspirin. They don't want you to, get them a wheelchair. They don't want you to give them a massage. They don't want these things. They just want to be in the moment and to kind of like share whatever it is that they're feeling with you. I know it's weird and it might be hard to understand, but they just want you to share in that experience with them. They want you to be there, physically, emotionally present, to share that experience with them. Okay? And so what that means is, it's not to get them an aspirin. It's not to get them to see a doctor. It's not to, they just want you to listen and empathize and sympathize. It's kind of like that kid, right? Putting in his father's shoes, like putting on boots, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes to understand that they just want to share that moment with you, and whatever their experience is, they want to share that with you, to be in the moment with you. They don't really want anything else. They don't want a solution. They don't want you to take them anywhere. They don't want you to give them anything. Okay? And the Nine of Swords is on top of the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is all about being emotionally open. Being, I guess, like responsive to another person's emotional needs. And when you are emotionally responsive, you're not action oriented, okay? You're not like grabbing your jacket and driving them to the doctor. You're not like going to, CVS and getting them, CVS or, it's like a knickknack store where you can get medicine. It's not about that. It's about opening yourself emotionally. And a lot of the times too, I feel like, with a lot of, fire signs, we're naturally very impatient, okay? We don't have the time or even the patience to sit and talk about a topic over and over and over again. We talk about things that matter and we move on from one topic to the next. We don't like to sit there and just dwell on something, especially it can be uncomfortable if it's like of the emotional kind, oh, my back is really hurting today, or, so and so is getting divorced, or so and so is drinking very heavily. Like, we don't really want to dwell on other people's problems. And so I feel like, you might be sitting there very anxious, ready to dash out the door, to fix things, to do something to make the discomfort go away from your end. But I feel like the energy is really asking you to sit with the discomfort, to ask follow-up questions, to really try to understand. And understanding, sympathizing and empathizing are very different things, okay? Someone could tell you that they're not feeling well and you can sympathize. You're just like, oh yeah, when I was sick, I was not feeling well as well. But to empathize is sitting there and share this moment with that person, no matter how uncomfortable it is. I feel like there's somebody who's very, very close to you who might be experiencing physical ailments or symptoms. And they want you to be there for them. You have always been there for them. But I feel like the way that you have shown up might not have been the way that they wanted you to show up and be available to them. Okay? You might have done the practical things, driving them back and forth, going to the doctor, sending them money, sending them medicine. I feel like they just want you to be emotionally open and to be available to them and to not fix their problems, but to really hear them out. And so this King of Cups energy is really about that, putting yourselves in somebody else's shoes. It's like walking a mile in their shoes and really empathizing and really understand what they've been through. Okay, and there isn't a reason for it. It's not about, oh, now I understand what you've been through. Now I can help you. It's not about that. It's just about sharing the experience, okay? And I feel like, words cannot describe whatever they're feeling inside. They just want you to experience that with them by asking follow-up questions, by asking about, what their plans are, by just being in that moment and making that what an air sign or a fire sign like yourself might even say, like, chit chat, in order to make them feel like you're emotionally available. Okay? So I'm going to wave that away because we need to move on. There is another message here for you. You have a lot of messages, and I like using this deck actually. So I hope that this works and it delivers messages that are important for you for this month. On the other hand, I do see here we have your energy, Page of Wands, Page of Acorns. This is the Page of Wands. And, like the image of that little boy, okay? He's very anxious about experiencing things in the world. And he has like, kind of like a testing ground that he's playing in, okay? Kind of like I don't want to say it's a playground. It's like a place where he's testing things. He's testing theories and drawing conclusions. And right on top of it, we have here, this is a major arcana card. It is the Shaman. What I do feel is happening here is you have an idea in your head of how things are supposed to transpire, how things are supposed to go, how things are supposed to work out for you, certain things in your life. So, for example, for many of you who might have transitioned into a new job, you're learning things, you're making connections, I feel like through the learning process, you're creating, kind of like a template in your mind as to how things ought to be, how things are going to play out, making predictions even. And where I'm going with this, it's sort of like this is a young child who feels like he knows a lot, right? Who feels like he knows a lot. So, for example, I know how to drive, I know how to get from A to B, I know how to get to work from home. And I know how to get home when I'm at work. I know how to take the subway. I know how to take the metro. I know how to, even if I'm in a different airport, I know how to get my baggage. I know how to get to my terminal. So like practical things, everyday things. Being able to learn these things, being able to do it yourself, and being very, very proud about how you're able to take care of yourself. So I feel for many of you, you have this confidence that you know everything there is to know. But what's crowning this reading here with this Shaman card and also with the Strength card, both major arcana cards, we have the Eagle and then we have the Elephant. What I feel here is there's a need to kind of like develop yourself either spiritually or in an emotional way. Okay, spirituality and emotions, they are both represented by water energies. Okay, so like the cups energy, or in this deck the shells energy, and it's showing up so prevalently in this deck. We have here the King of Cups, the Ten of Cups, mastered getting from point A to point B, knowing how to do your job very well, being able to excuse me, being able to navigate your environment, okay? Knowing what you need to do, knowing how to cook, knowing how to tie your shoelaces, knowing how to do the physical things that we need to do in order to sustain ourselves, like yourself emotionally. Thinking about, actions and consequences, thinking about the words that you might say and what kind of impact it has on another person, okay? And knowing as well that when it comes to emotional or spiritual strength, we don't have to tell other people everything that we're made of, everything that we're capable of. We don't have to brag, we don't have to boast, we don't have to, you know, pound it in that, oh, I can do this, I can do that. There should be, this intuitive, like quiet strength and demeanor that you exhibit. And it's quiet and it's very understated, but I feel like it's a lot more powerful if it's just dormant rather than if we talk about it. I hope that makes sense to you. I'm not being very articulate here, but I do sense that for this month, it is about being resourceful in a very understated way. And it's almost about like being very quiet, slipping under the radar, and doing things without having, a lot of fanfare, without having to draw attention to yourself. I feel like that's going to bode a lot better for you to getting what you want, to getting yourself even seen and heard, okay? So with these two cards, the energies are very similar. This is like quiet strength, okay? This is emotional strength. This is resilience. This is endurance here. And the endurance card, courage and endurance. The endurance card, the endurance word in this card is jumping out very strongly. So I feel like it's about, exercising the quiet strength to do things regardless of who's watching, to do things behind the scenes and to be very quiet, possibly even being secretive about your plans, to be secretive about, it's like, I feel, doing what you feel is right, even if others around you don't agree with you. Even if you're facing a situation where, people don't agree with what you're doing, people are calling you out on the things you're doing, if you don't feel like you're doing anything wrong, you definitely should stick to your guts. And you definitely should, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to defend your stance. It's about quiet dignity and quiet strength. You don't have to defend your stance. You don't have to argue to you're blue in the face, even if the other person won't agree with you. Just sticking to your guns and going about your own path in a very quiet way and endure whatever it is that other people might not agree with. So that's what I feel is the message here. It's there's only one message for your reading, but it's very powerful because I feel like, that man, he's worn out. He's tired. He's got a job that he has to go to every day in order to make ends meet, in order to take care of his family and the people that he loves. And he doesn't do it begrudgingly. I feel like, he's going through the motions. But like when he gets home, when he takes off the boots and takes off the coat, he's a different person and he's anxious to go home. He's anxious to be there for his loved ones, his wife, his kids. So that's what I feel it's all about, enduring, okay? Enduring because there's a lot more at stake. Enduring mainly because you know the battles that you have to fight. People don't know what you've been through, and people don't need to talk you out of things. You also don't need people to concur or agree with whatever actions you're about to take, okay? So that's what I'm sensing here with these 6 cards. Let me talk about the last 4 cards because it's very wonderful. And there's definitely a new love here. We have the Ace of Cups, this turtle. It's really beautiful. I love this deck. So this is about happiness and abundance, hence the wording. We also have as well the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is about the apex of emotional happiness, stability, joy, getting everything that you want, okay? So we have as well the Five of Swords. This is an armadillo. What I'm feeling here in this spread, or especially the last 4 cards, is I feel like there's a situation here where somebody is bringing a lot of enlightenment into your life. Okay? I feel like this person might be very different from your usual type, might be very different from the circle that you run around with, okay? And let me just say this because it's coming back again. I mentioned before, you're a very practically minded person. It's like Aries, it's the first sign of the zodiac. It's all about achievements. It's all about getting things done. It's all about, getting from A to B in the fastest manner, in the fastest route, okay? You're very good at solving problems. And so what I feel here is you're dealing with someone who is operating from a higher level. They have almost like a bird's eye view of everything that you're doing. You might often consult them. You really value their advice, okay? And I also feel like this is a person who's very intelligent, okay? They're either really articulate, they express themselves really well. I feel like they're also embodying energies from this shaman, where they are able to give really good advice. They're very old and wise. Okay, so the perspective that they're bringing in is not from the earth. It's from the spiritual, emotional plane. They're looking at your life, and I feel like there might have been some kind of a clash between values, between what you want and what they want. The life that you charted for yourself, it's full of financial abundance. I feel like they're looking at life through a simpler lens. They're not bogged down. They're not bogged down with material things, okay? 10 of Cups. This is a bird. Pelican. And the eagle. You know, birds have hollow bones, okay? And they're launching into flight. They cannot fly if they're bogged down with a lot of stuff, with a lot of trinkets, with a lot of earthly possessions, right? So this is somebody who might be very nomadic in the way that they live. They might transition from one place to the next very swiftly. They might not be very rooted wherever they are. They're always looking for the next adventure. They're always looking for the next. I feel like the next nest. They're always looking for something more, and they're wanting to, you know, gain experience. Okay. And so what I sense is, I feel like this person is bringing about this sense of wonder in your life. They want you to travel with them. They want you to experience all of these things with them. They want a little bit more out of life for you. And they want you to see things from this higher vantage point. I feel like they've done many things to urge you out of your comfort zone. And I also feel as if this is someone who doesn't really care about money, wealth, prestige, having a home, having a nice car. They don't care about those things. I feel like you do. And I feel like, you know, they don't care about those things. And so in order to catch this butterfly in your net, your strategy is going to have to change. Your strategy cannot be, you know, darting, making, you know, beelining it for a person, going from A to B, okay? It's your strategy has to change because this person is going to zigzag. So the way in which they do things and the way in which you do things are very opposite. And so in order to catch this bird, you're going to have to behave in a little bit. I don't want to say, you know, adopt a behavior that is not authentic to you. But I feel like there's somebody here that has really gotten your attention. And then I also feel like the two of you, the way you live your life and the way they live their life is very different. But I also feel like you're fascinated by this person. That's what I'm sensing here. With this Ace of Cups, this is about delving deep into the waters, okay? Looking at the possibilities around you. So this is like a coral reef with a lot of, it's an ecosystem that is very abundant with a lot of exotic fish, okay? You know, those tropical fish with like different colors. That's what it feels like to you. Looking at this relationship or looking at this person, like it's somebody that you would have an amazing time traveling with. Um, like wining and dining with this person, going about town, traveling, going to some tropical paradise and being able to lounge on the beach, you know, sipping your drinks or whatever. I feel like, you know, that's all nice and that's what you envision in your mind, but I feel like this person, they might want to take the back roads. They might want to go hiking in a path that is, you know, less densely populated. And so your vision and their vision of even vacation spots, of even, you know, the concept of like building a family, it's very different. And I do sense that there needs to be a diving deeper with this person. You might find out that what you see on the surface is not what this person truly represents. And I also feel like you're a little bit starry-eyed here about the potential for this relationship. And you really need to emotionally connect with this person And you might realize that there's a lot more depth, there's a lot more complexity in getting this relationship off the ground. Does that make sense? So I feel like there's more than meets the eye, and I also feel like it's a lot more complicated than you would think. And then I also feel because they're aware of all these complexities and all these external and internal factors that might prevent the two of you coming together, because honestly, the two of you are very different from each other, and that's why they're hesitant. And so in order to draw this person into the picture or in closer to you, I feel like you need to be a lot more emotionally patient, and you need to, you need to make that small talk in order for the doors to open up. You can't just, rush from A to B. You can't just beeline it. You can't just have this vision of, the tropical paradise, the vacations that we'll take together. There's a lot more under the surface. And I do sense as well that, this is a person that is very complex, and it needs some time for the two of you to kind of come together in a deep and authentic way in order for this relationship to work. Because I do see like it's an opposites attract type of energy. And I have to say this because I just feel like a lot of you guys, you're looking for that, you're looking for a lot of passion and a lot of chemistry. And I feel like you thrive on that. And passion and chemistry without anything to sustain it, or without like a solid foundation, it fizzles out. And I feel like once, the rose colored glasses wears off, or, you take them off or you remove them, you start to see the person for who they are, and you start to see that the ideological differences, creates like such a strong rift between you and them, where, a relationship is not going to be viable at that time. And so we really need to slow down. We really need to, conserve our energy and really get to know the other person on a deeper level before we decide to take this vacation, before we decide to, move in together, before we decide whether or not this is going to be for the long haul. Because a lot of the times with fire signs, jump in first, ask questions later. And so all the practical considerations in dating, in a start of a new relationship, those things are not talked about, and those things are not really discussed until, until they creep up. And by that time, you feel almost like you feel almost like they might have deceived you, when that wasn't, the intention, when these things were never discussed to begin with. And so I feel here there is a situation that you need to really slow down, and kind of like make the small talk. Let that chatter happen so that you can really get to know another person on a deeper level. Okay? What I'm going to end this with today is, I have here the Five of Feathers, and this is the Five of Swords, where conversation between you and another person might be a little bit like contentious. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the other person it's almost like their heads are in the clouds. And I feel like this is somebody that is in your environment that you're dealing with. Could be a coworker, could be a supervisor, could be a boss, could be the people that you're dealing with in general. I feel like they're very mired in their emotions, and you don't have the patience for it. And I feel like they make decisions that are not very practical, and I feel like you kind of like look down on them for that. Okay, it's sort of like this. Perfect example. Because a friend of mine was talking about how agitated she was. So she has a client, and the client has like 5 children, and the children are like not well taken care of. Okay, like they're kind of neglected emotionally, physically as well. And she's talking about, oh, not being able to, buy them like an iPhone, buy them like new Nike shoes. And when the kids are like doing really poorly in school, and so she was frustrated, and she was just like, why don't you take care of their academic needs first before, you know, you start thinking about like not having money to buy them things that they don't even need, things that she's using to distract them so that she doesn't have to be emotionally available to take care of them, pretty much like buying an iPad for the kids, and they're way too young. They don't need these things. And so what I feel here is you might be dealing with people like that who, you know, who their heads are in the clouds. You know, their priorities are all wrong. And you're going to have to rein in your energy, okay? Because a lot of the times, Aries, when you're upset, you do get very upset and you do verbalize exactly why you're upset. And I feel like the message here is to slow down a little bit. You don't, in this situation, okay, I feel like they're clearly in the wrong, and you don't need to, you know, put yourself in their shoes to really understand what they're going through. You don't need to do that. But what it's calling for is to say things with a little bit more, I feel like with a little bit more compassion, okay, with a little bit more holding back a little bit, okay? So in that situation where, you know, that woman is stressed out about not being able to buy the shoes or the iPhones or whatever it is, you can just say, it seems to me that they're too young, the kids are too young, they might not need these things that you're so concerned about. It seems to me as if, you know, their academic like slippage might be a cause for concern later, so you might want to address those things first. So like explaining things in a calmer manner, being a little bit more understanding and holding yourself back and watching your tongue and being careful about how the words or the things that you say, especially the tone with which you say these things, might impact another person, might make them feel very defensive. And when people are defensive, they stop listening, right? And so it's about effective communication, okay? I'm going to leave it at that. I hope the reading finds you well, and I wish you all the very best. For if you would like to get a reading for yourself, please click on the link, and you can, you know, select the day or the time that works best for you, and that is through her website. Okay, I wish you all the best, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.